Hello and welcome to the Quever channel. I am Jason, your host. Let's talk about the two biggies. Don't know how well this will go through on YouTube. Self-harm and suicidal thoughts. Now, I am mainly allowed to self-maintain my coping strategies and self-medicate. By medication, I mean treatment. I don't medicate it in drugs, but the treatment that I do that takes the place of the medication that would be for ADHD and all that kind of thing. I've got problems with my bipolar and PTSD. I treat myself in that way, but I have oversight by the mental health team and that, and they, even though they've signed off on me primarily, most of them now, I still get a call to check how I am by different people. Like, sorry, my nose is being itchy. And if anybody who's ever had mental health issues or who has got a good GP, general practitioner who checks on them, if they're living alone and that, and asks, gets their head nurse or the practice nurse and that to ring them up, say, once every 6 months or so, or even more, and just check that they're okay. And one of the questions that they always ask in these situations is, have you have any thoughts of harming yourself or suicidal thoughts? This is a big red flag that when you let them know, they will actually let the relevant people know. And whenever it's a new one, because it wasn't the practice nurse, the one that I know, the head nurse at the practice, it was one of the other ones who does this because they're so busy over Christmas. And when she asked me these questions, she was saying, have you had any self-harm thoughts or any thoughts of ending your life or anything like that? I just said, that's a basic Tuesday. That's a Tuesday for me. That's a Tuesday for me. And then I had to explain to her that with the PTSD and still reliving Paola's death now and then, with the bipolar type 2, meaning my permanent state is to be in depression and I have to fight to be out of it. And with ADHD and autism at the same time, and all the stuff I've faced, it would be unusual for me not to have self-harm thoughts on a weekly basis and not to be thinking about death on a weekly basis. Because then I have to explain to the new nurse that I've got all these coping mechanisms in place to deal with it, that I can use my computer technology to help me get past it. I can act certain things like being able to take myself back to when I was first playing Space Invaders by turning on my arcade machine and letting my mind drift back to then and giving my mind a little bit of a break and other many coping strategies. Like the little ones, even down to ones where basically I know if I ended my life, my wife would kick my fucking arse. If there is an afterlife, she would be so pissed off, seeing as she fought every day to stay in this world until she had no choice. So I have lots of coping strategies. To me, it's just a Tuesday. To most people, it's a oops situation and they need help, and if they don't get help, they could go down a very bad path. Don't hide that from your doctors. If your doctor ever asks you, they're asking you for a reason. And I know sometimes it's hard to trust a doctor and sometimes it's not the best experience, but I am in a very, very unique situation. My coping strategies and things have been built up over years and are always growing and changing, and the perfect storm that makes things so bad for me also means that I have the tools to cope with some of the situations. Do not hide that. If you are having self-harm thoughts, if you are having suicidal thoughts, get help. Talk to someone. You do not want to be in an echo chamber. While I will always be an advocate of a choice of life or death, and if you have come to the end of your tether and everything in your life, like I've known people who have chronic pain, and pain management isn't working, and their entire life is pain and suffering for their entire life. There's a point in time when they decide, no. So I do believe in a personal choice, but before you get to that stage, you have to make sure that these self-harm thoughts, that these end-of-life thoughts are not coming from a chemical imbalance, are not coming from a trauma-based situation that you yourself can't see a way through, but someone else might be able to help you see a way through. Don't take the way I do it. I am very, very lucky, because for some reason the way I am, and that allows me to create these coping mechanisms which work. They're not perfect. I go through hell a lot of the time. It's kind of funny, I always sort of paraphrase stuff when I'm on Discord with only on a Tuesday. Tuesday for some reason is both a bad and a good day. A Tuesday can be a day where thoughts of finally ending it all come through. Or, why should I be okay when Paola's dead? I failed her. Now I know all these thoughts are not true. Logically they're true, but rationale in that, they don't actually work. And I did do my best for Paola, I know this. And I have coping strategies. I also have a phone number that I can ring if I'm ever in the position where I can't cope with it myself. And you damn right well I will fucking make that call. Even if it meant me going into hospital for mental health stay. If my coping strategies ever start to fail and I can't deal with it myself, then I am self-aware enough to know that you don't mess with this shit. But I have, over the past 5 years and that, I have created coping strategies that for me, uniquely for me, and that's the whole point, everybody's coping strategies, and some people do need to be on medication, and some people do need therapy. Remember, this thing I do here is part of that all. So yeah, it's always interesting if I get a new medical person who's gonna ask me that question, because as soon as I say yeah, before they start ticking the boxes and that, I have to explain to them why I have thoughts of death, why these things are in my head sometimes. I can acknowledge them and deal with them. Like the woman said by the end of the talk, said, "Oh, it looks like you've got everything in hand at the moment." So yeah. This is Jason for the Clever channel. I wonder if this one will actually go up on YouTube properly, because they don't like you talking about these kind of things.